Hello and welcome back. So in this video I'm going to talk about how to use a traditional landline phone in today's day and age. So yeah, this is a landline phone that I'm going to be using for this demonstration. It's just a real basic landline phone. This is actually intended to be a wall phone. So first, let's go over a prerequisite. So in order to be able to use a landline phone, the first thing you need to do is you need to pick up the phone, take it off the hook. You need to listen for a dial tone that sounds just like this. Yeah? So yeah, let's say you pick it up, but it's not working. There's no dial tone. You don't hear anything when you pick up the phone. So the first thing you'll need to do then is you'll need to make sure that the phone is connected to a working landline service. So probably in most cases you would need to get it plugged into a phone wall jack. It's similar to this one. I mean, yeah, wall jacks also come in different shapes and sizes, which I have a couple different examples of what they look like. So yeah, like I said earlier, this phone is actually a wall phone, so the jack for the phone is actually on the back of the phone here, and it's intended to be plugged into a jack that's also wall mounted, and therefore the phone just rests on that wall jack and it's holding it up on the wall. But sometimes the phone might also have its own phone cord coming out of it too, that you could just therefore plug into a phone jack. So yeah, you'll need working landline service either from a company that provides a traditional landline service and has phone jacks and whatnot running around your house, or the way it tends to be done commonly nowadays is landline service tends to come through an internet service provider. So nowadays, the phone line can actually come from the back of a modem that's provided by the internet service provider, as you can kind of see right there. So you can also have a phone wire just coming directly from the back of that modem going to a phone, or maybe phone jacks could also be wired coming off of that modem as the original source. So now, after you've gotten all that out of the way and you know that there's a dial tone going to the phone, so let's say now you want to make a call using a landline phone like this. So the first step that you have to do is you need to take the handset, or it's also called the receiver, off the hook. And therefore, yeah, you hear that dial tone now that you took it off the hook. So, in reality, well, let me zoom in here. So, you see that switch right there? So in reality, when the handset is sitting on the hook like that, it is also pushing in that switch, and that is what's keeping the line hung up. So as soon as you take the receiver or the handset off the hook, it also releases that switch and it opens the line up, and that's what makes you hear the dial tone. So now let's say you want to call somebody. So the way that you have to call somebody on a landline phone is, well, you need to know their full 10-digit phone number, including the area code. So in order to do that, you need to dial their full 10-digit phone number just using the keypad on the phone. So yeah, like I said, first thing you need is the area code, 3-digit area code, and then the rest of their phone number. And then when you're done dialing, put the receiver up to your ear.
Thank you for calling the National Weather Service in Topeka, Kansas. Please listen to the current forecast followed by a list of other options.
Now here is your National Weather Service forecast. Dense fog advisory in effect.
Okay. So, yeah, you've called out to somebody on a landline phone. I'll be quiet. Let me turn that down. So, now, let's say you're done talking to him, and you want to end the call. Well, in order to do that, you just simply need to put the receiver back on the hook. And therefore, that closes the line, and that's what hangs it up. So, I just showed you guys dialing using, like, an actual push-button keypad on a traditional landline phone like that. But honestly, it's not too different from just, like, a smartphone keypad. If you go to the phone app and you want to dial someone's number, it's literally the exact same thing, except this is a touchscreen and those are physical buttons. So now let's show what happens when someone calls you on a landline. Yep, so that is the ringer of the phone right now, telling you that the line is ringing. You have an incoming call. So how do you pick it up? Well, all you really do is just take the receiver off the hook to answer a phone call. And there you go. And now the phone call is connected. So I also wanted to talk about more important sounds that a landline phone makes and what their meanings are. So I'm going to show you guys the first one, and that can be accomplished just by leaving the phone off the hook too long. Yep, so you just heard that beeping sound after I left off the hook too long. So that was the busy tone. As a matter of fact, that variation of it was the fast busy because of how fast it was beeping like that. The intervals of the beep. So when you hear fast busy like that, that means that, your call is just disconnected and you need to hang up. So it did that because I left the phone off the hook too long. Pretty sure I can probably also get the same thing just by dialing some random numbers that's not valid. Yep, same thing. So fast busy like that means your call is disconnected. You just need to hang it up. And you need to, try it again, or you really just need to hang it up. So I also want to show you guys the other variation of the busy tone, which actually means the line is busy, like the person you called is on another call. So I don't have a way of getting it actually on my landline here, but I'm just going to pull up like a recording of it. Yeah, so you heard that variation of it. That was a much slower interval of that busy tone. So like I said, that variation of it means the person you called is currently on another call, and you need to just try calling them again later. Here's another sound I wanted to talk about from a landline phone. Again, I don't have a way of actually getting it on my landline, but I do have a recording of it that I wanted to play. So regardless, if you hear this tone, then that means that whatever phone number that you just dialed is not a valid phone number. It doesn't exist. So you need to hang the phone back up and try it again. And if you keep continuing to get that tone and message, then the phone number that you were given is not right. So you need to go back to the person who gave you that phone number and make sure that it's the correct phone number. So the last important sound I wanted to talk about on a landline phone especially on landlines nowadays, like especially coming from an internet service provider modem. Well, let's pick this up. So you heard the regular dial tone there, but when I take it off the hook, listen again. So you hear how the dial tone was just like cutting in and out like that at first when you first picked up the phone? Well, that is actually signifying to you that you have a voicemail. So then you need to dial whatever code it is that you use to get to your voicemail that was given to you by your phone company. So here's another important sound and function that I wanted to talk about on a landline phone. So yeah, let's say you are currently talking to somebody on the phone. Yeah, so you're in the middle of talking to somebody already. And then, let's say you actually get another incoming call while you're already talking to somebody. And then you hear this. So yeah, that beep you just heard, that's the call waiting tone. That means you have another call coming in. So the way you answer the other call is you do a hook flash. And you do that by just simply pushing in and releasing the hook switch. And yeah, now I just answered that second call coming in and basically just put the other person on hold. So, once you're done talking to the second person, you want to go back to your first call, you hook flash again. I think. Oh, okay, so I figured out why I can't hear myself when I hook flashed back to the original call, because I forgot my other phone put the call on hold. And now, okay, there we go. So yeah, when you want to switch back and forth between calls like that, you do that hook flash. Now actually, I think with this particular line coming from the internet service provider, and probably most other modern lines too, it will actually ring the phone back if you forgot the other person. Like if you switch from the first call to a second call, talk to them, but just hung up the phone after that because you forgot about the first person, it might ring the phone again to actually remind you the first person is still there. So let me do it again. Hello? Okay. So, what if we just hang up the phone and I forgot about the first person? Yep. It'll ring the phone again, telling you that you forgot about the first person. Hello? Oh, but it's still on hold on my other phone. Hello. There we go. The next thing I wanted to go over is some of the most common star codes that you can dial on a landline phone and what their functions are. So, the first one that I'm going to go over is star 67. And yeah, I mean star as in this key right here. Yep. That asterisk right there. It's also called star. And then that's a pound key right there. But I mean star codes as in you push star followed by a couple of numbers. So, the first code I wanted to go over is star 67. So what does that do? Well, that basically just blocks your caller ID from the person that you're calling. So, the way it works, well, the way you do it, first you pick up the phone, take it off hook, wait for that dial tone, and then star 67. And yeah, after I did that, you just heard that, dial tone cutting in and out like that, telling you to go ahead and dial the number that you want to reach. So after you push star 67, you then dial the regular 10-digit number you want to call, just like if you're calling someone normally. Next one I want to go over is star 72. That is call forwarding. So you pick up the phone, you dial star 72, and then you dial the 10-digit phone number that you wish for your calls to be going to until you disable the call forwarding. So essentially, you're just sending your calls somewhere else to a different phone. So, star 72. And yep, it gives you that stuttering dial tone again, telling you to dial the 10-digit number that you want to forward your calls to instead of your phone. And then once you're done with that, and you want to disable the call forwarding, it'll be star 73. And yeah, I just got a message telling me that's off. The next star code I wanted to go over is star 69. So, essentially, this is especially handy if you have a landline phone like this that doesn't have caller ID capabilities, or maybe your phone company just doesn't give you caller ID for some reason. What star 69 does is just redial the last number that called you. So, since I've been calling my landline last, when I do star 69, first it's going to tell me what my last received call is, and it'll ask me if I want to enable the call return. So it said to activate call return, push 1. And yep, it's calling me back on my smartphone because that's the last thing that called it. Now, honestly, you might not really need to use star 69 nowadays, because there are certainly much more advanced landline phones out nowadays that have like redial or show you the caller ID. So you probably really only need the star 69 if you have a phone like this that does not show you caller ID or anything. So then the last common star code that I wanted to talk about is the anonymous call rejection. So, I mean, all that's really doing is it's enabling like a filter basically on your phone line. It won't allow any incoming calls from people that are blocking their caller ID. Like if they used star 67 or something. So, the code for anonymous call rejection is star 77.
Anonymous call rejection is now on. All incoming calls from anonymous numbers will hear an automated recording instructing them to unblock their caller ID and dial again.
And then if you want to for some reason turn that back off, that is star 87.
Anonymous call rejection is off. You can receive incoming calls from numbers with caller ID blocked. Thank you.
So the last thing that I wanted to cover on this video, it might seem like a pretty, very, I guess, specific thing that probably you might not have to really think about that much, but the handset cord. Well, in order for a landline phone to work, you need to make sure that the handset cord is, of course, connected. So like on this phone right here, yeah, there's a jack on the bottom of the phone right here, and that's where the handset cord gets plugged into. And then you need to make sure that the other end is plugged in to the handset, because you can't actually unplug it. So if either end came disconnected, then you'd be confused on why you can't hear anything on the phone. So just something I thought to share. And yeah, like I said before, there are many different variations of landline phones out there nowadays, and they've certainly gotten a lot more advanced than just the phone that I showed earlier. So here's another landline phone that I got. And let me show you some of its buttons. The hands-free button right there, that basically just means speakerphone, so this thing has speaker on it. So you don't have to, pick up the handset to have a conversation. You can just talk using the speakerphone instead, and you can be probably almost anywhere, at least within the same room of the phone, for them to hear you. Let me talk about some of the other buttons here too. So that redial button right here, that's for if you want to dial again the most recent number that you just called. Most landline phones nowadays also have a button on them called flash. Well, that's the same thing as hook flash, except you can just accomplish that by pushing a button now. On this phone, that's what link means. So every phone might also have just their own terminology for these things. And then the callers button right there, that's basically the substitute for *69. That shows me my callers list of people that have called me, since this thing does have caller ID as per the screen right there. So I just find the number that called me most recently, and then I can I can lift the receiver or push the speaker button, and this thing will just automatically dial it. But every phone kind of works a little bit differently. So it'll at least tell you the number. It might not be able to call back automatically, but it'll at least tell you so you can remember it or jot it down or whatever. So let me just show you an example of using the callback feature. So yeah, here's a number that has called me. So now that I have that number, now that I've scrolled to that number, I can either lift the handset or push the speaker button, and it'll just automatically dial back that number. Yeah. So. And this phone, well, it also has a hold button on it too. So all that really does is just mute the call, so the other caller can't hear anything. But it's it doesn't even hook flash or anything like that. It just literally mutes the call for them, or for both of you actually, and just leaves them there until you come back to the phone. Yeah. And that little button right there, that says RLS. That means release, I think, but that just hangs up a call. I think that's mostly used for if you're on the speakerphone. Anyhow, I think that's going to cover it for this video. I hope this was helpful. So, hope to catch you guys in the next video.